Just as a disclaimer, this video is hard to watch. This is the story of the most well-recorded demonic possession case of all time. Some of the audio is extremely troubling, and I cannot stress enough, if you're sensitive, this video is not for you. Anneliese Michel was born on September 21st, 1952 in Germany, in a devoutly Catholic family. She was smart, kind, and well-liked. At the age of 16, she began experiencing seizures. Her epilepsy resulted in trauma to her temporal lobe that led to psychosis, and she began treatment at a psychiatric hospital shortly after she was diagnosed with depression. Anneliese began hearing voices in her 20s after enrolling in university. Soon after, the medication she was prescribed for psychosis was no longer effective, and her psychological state began to deteriorate. The bizarre thing about her symptoms was that there were times when others experienced them with her. She would experience a foul odor that smelled like burning feces, and others around her would say that they smelled it as well. She would hear knocking in her bedroom, and her sister said she could hear it too. She began seeing the faces of demons everywhere she went. She became intolerant of religious spaces and objects like crucifixes and rosaries. She could hear voices whispering in her ear while she prayed, telling her she would rot in hell. She began to believe that she was possessed by the devil. Her family became concerned for her spiritual well-being, and when they approached the clergy, they turned Anneliese away, telling her to seek medical help instead. It was at this point that her behaviors became alarming. Anneliese would injure herself, and she would compulsively perform hundreds of squats. She crawled under a table and barked like a dog for 2 days. She even wetted herself and drank her own urine off the floor. She began to exhibit superhuman strength and was able to throw her sister across the room. She even ate flies and spiders. Eventually, her mother found a priest named Ernst Alt who believed she was possessed and petitioned for a local priest to perform an exorcism. Priest Arnold Renz was given permission to perform the exorcism on Anneliese as long as it was performed in complete secrecy. Over the next 10 months, Alt and Renz would perform 67 exorcisms on Anneliese, with some sessions lasting up to 4 hours. She broke tendons and bones in her knees from kneeling in prayer for such extensive periods. During these sessions, the alleged demons would speak through Anneliese. Anneliese was often restrained, and eventually she was no longer eating or drinking water. She passed away from malnourishment on July 1st of 1976 at the age of 23. The 2 priests who put her through the torturous exorcisms were found guilty of manslaughter, but only sentenced to 6 months in jail. The parents of Anneliese, several clergy members, and Anneliese herself all believed her to be possessed. What do you think? Was this a case of horrific abuse of a mentally ill woman, or genuine demonic possession? No matter what, the challenges that Anneliese faced in her too short life are difficult to imagine, and the loss of her life was preventable. We can only hope that she finds peace in the afterworld.